Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our Live at the Gantries online post-show Q&A. We are here. My name is Julia del Palacio, and I curate the Live at the Gantries online together with my colleague Carlos Cuestas, who's here in the room as well.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show.
We are waiting for our fantastic band members, the Salt Cracker Crazies, who just finished premiering their incredible video from their garden in Astoria. And we're going to chat with them in just a few minutes. We're just going to wait. Here we go. Here they are.
Well done.
We are here with Mr. Tickle Britches Bournet, Licorice Splits, Throat Cancer Jefferson, and Rusty Buttons. There she is.
Some good advice you got there.
I'm excited. I pressed the wrong thing. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. This
What was wrong with the
technology.
thing?
There's something matter with my thing.
There's always something wrong with the thing.
Sorry. It's all these rusty buttons. I don't know.
Thank you so much, guys. That was an incredible set. It was so much fun, and I was dancing in my seat for sure. Yeah. And I know you had some questions about the sunflowers and how you do it so they grow so beautifully. But we're gonna get some more questions from the audience shortly, I'm sure. But in the meantime, why don't you tell us? Throat cancer, let's start with you. Why don't you tell us why jug band? What's that term and what's the story behind it? Throat cancer, I believe you're muted.
There we go.
No, he's got throat cancer. That's
Exactly. Might be
Very-
a cancer in your throat.
Very, very professional. Well,
We're live.
jug band was a type of music that came out of Louisville, Kentucky in the early 20th century. So 1903, 1904, kind of mix of blues, jazz, and ragtime, done with basically lots of homemade instruments: washtub bass, washtub, the jug. Played by folks who were, who couldn't maybe afford a full brass section, in a band, or an upright bass. They had to travel, they had to party, they had to be mobile, and so they kind of took what they had available, made instruments with them, kazoos, usually like banjo, guitar, kazoo, washtub bass, jugs, and it was basically a party band from 1903 to the mid 30s, and we're just fascinated and in love with this music and what it does to people, to be able to hear these like really raw, organic, homemade kind of feel. It just gets to in people's guts and makes them dance and have fun, and it's a fun way to just kind of to get people feeling about music in a different kind of way than they usually do. Everything's so electric now that it's just kind of like, it's nice to just get back to the super basics and see what we can do with it.
Absolutely.
That's great. And as our audience's questions start pouring in, I do want to ask about the question about instruments. Sorry, Mr. Tickle Britches, which I hope I am pronouncing it correctly. So, what are some of the instrument making ideas that you had in addition to what you already have? Are you including something more contemporary, or you're trying to keep it all with like 1920s technology? Like, what's the...
It's a good question. I mean, we never really sat down and talked about it, but I think we all shared an idea that we would try to stay reverent to the music of the time. And at that period of time, you did have a banjo, you did have a resophonic guitar, such as the one that I play. You did have washboards, and you did have a wash tub bass. Kazoos were very much a part of a jug band. I should note at this point that one of our members of the band, sitting more in the background, Confetti Revolver, her name is, very beautifully attired for the occasion, but not in the panel tonight. She usually plays fiddle with us, but she had an injury to her hand, a kitchen injury, and so she's not able to play fiddle. So she was just our dancer.
Kitchen injury with a knife.
Was it an avocado?
I didn't mean to do it. It was completely an accident.
I know there's a story behind it, but I don't know. Anything you say might be used against you, I feel like.
We're so used to it, Julia.
This is being recorded, just remember. So we have a question from the audience, from the CUNY Dance Initiative. And they say, so curious about where all your names come from. They're so irreverent, both the names and the music. Lickery, let's start with you. What's up with that name?
Well, where my name comes from probably isn't appropriate for this particular panel. But I will say there is a story behind each of our characters. And if you come see some of our shows, you might even get a little bit of that history. But some of us are darn well attached to each other. I've got a few things I feel about old Britches. We've been together for a while. You might find that Throat Cancer and Rusty have a bit of a history. And really the fun of it all is that there's a story behind it, characters behind it, and that's what we love to do, is tell stories through our music, in addition to having fun.
Any
other name?
You're safe on third, Liquor. You're safe on third. you stopped before you went. Okay, you're safe.
That was pretty family friendly. That was pretty family friendly. We appreciate it.
It's the Splits and Liquor. I'm in Come On.
Okay. I think I got it.
Something to think about for tonight, that's definitely, for sure. A friend from Facebook, Teresa Lenz, is asking a question of how did you all meet? And by the way, by all means, keep developing the idea of the characters, because we are really curious about them. So as you keep answering questions, please tell us your story a little bit.
Sure.
I met Tickle Britches on the back of a train in 2001.
It was a cattle car. It was a cattle car.
Yeah. I mean, that was awkward at first because I really wasn't sure. I was on my way to Kansas City, and you were coming back, from like New Mexico or something. And
via Minot, North Dakota. I took a wrong turn, ended up in Minot, came back down on the Mopac.
Yeah. Hopped
over to the Dirty Rag.
So we're not talking about the subway. This is actually a train.
Yeah.
Okay. Just for context.
Cattle car.
They're answering in character.
Rusty and I met in a there was an everyone knows the alley in Astoria off the Ditmar stop in Astoria. There's that alley. We met back there after a night at O'Hanlon's.
And I've been married to Britches since God was a boy. So there you go.
Did we get divorced, or was it just an annulment? I can't remember now.
There's 5 divorce. There's many divorces.
Can't keep track anymore.
Yeah.
One of the wonderful things about our band is everybody's very literally married to each other. In the course of this band, at any given time, there's usually 3 married couples in the band. There's at least one person always knocked up, and then there's assorted hangers-on that comprise the rest of us. But I am being totally serious when I say that.
Yeah, he's not wrong. I mean, like when we first got started, like I'm married to the jug player, and Throat Cancer is married to our wash tub player, and Lickery and Tickle Britches they've got a whole thing. And yeah, I mean, both my girls, I had them with me while I was bouncing the washboard right off of them while they were in my belly. So, Yeah, we're all it's all just one big family. We like to say that between all of us, we've got about a baker's dozen worth of kids. So please tip well.
Because our original spoon player was married to our to a vocalist / kazoo player, and they split out west.
Yep.
And then our original banjo player, I used to play washtub bass, and our original banjo player married one of our groupies, and they have a kid now.
There's actually a soap opera coming out about our band.
This is the thing of historians. We're going to do like a whole family
We're like the
tree.
Parliament. We're like the Parliament Funkadelic of jug bands.
I was going to ask
People
if
just wandering on and off stage, and nobody knows quite what.
Yeah.
They say that Genghis Khan has like 6 million descendants, and we're on our way. We're on our way.
We're getting there.
Just like Genghis Khan, yeah.
We're doing our best.
We're waiting for the mothership. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, Rusty, you were talking about the washboard. I want to know, what's the technique? You have it right there.
Slap it. Slap it, slap it, slap it.
Commence the rubbing, Rusty.
Well, I'm not wearing my finger picks, but yeah, this little beauty has been tricked out by our very own Throat Cancer Jefferson, who is also a luthier, which means he makes guitars and basically any stringed instrument you might want. He makes beautiful handmade ones, and he tricked this puppy out for me with cookie tins, cowbells, one of those hotel ringers, a pot lid, and for my tobacco, which I gnaw through in the show. Keeps my voice nice and smooth.
It's working wonders.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. And just in actually that light of the question that you were answering, Miss Buttons, if I may, our friend from Facebook, Michael Makomsky, is also on top of being curious about the washboard. What about the wash tub? Like, especially the wash tub and trickle out of washboard. Where did they come from? I know we've talked about it already a little bit earlier, but if you can sort of like recontextualize it, that'd be great.
Yeah, I believe Throat Cancer said we've been through like 3 wash tubs. Is that right, Throat Cancer?
Yeah, but that's at least our 3rd wash tub bass. They keep getting a little more streamlined every time that we make them. Every time I make one, so
it's easier to pick it up and run now. When we
it's way easier to pick up and run, to take apart, to hide it in different places. Where it's a little more portable. The original one was probably about 24 inches across, and man, trying to hustle over a fence with something like that, it's really gets to be a pain.
You have to do a getaway fast. It's not easy.
Yeah, they've all had the bike bell though. That's the thing that keeps showing up on the wash tub bass. They have the bike. That's what makes it a special certified Salt Cracker Crazies wash tub bass. The bike bell.
Can we get it on Amazon?
You can. I have an Etsy page.
There you go.
I'm on Etsy.
That's quite how crafty. We're gonna ask you about your links and your handles and all of that in a minute. So be ready to respond all the Etsy questions. We have a question in YouTube from David Barkard, who's asking, do you write all your own music or do you pull from traditional jog band tunes? And what's your favorite song to play?
Favorite song? Wow.
Well, we did hear an original of yours, right?
Yes.
We've got we started by playing mostly covers, and when I say covers, I mean music typically from the 20s through the 40s, 50s. Once in a while, a later cover than that, but Throat Cancer Jefferson authored a song that we decided to include in our repertoire, and I authored another song that we included in their repertoire. And we've got other songs that are potential songs that we'd like to work up and perform for everybody once COVID lets us loose. So yeah, I mean, it's not like we're only a cover band, but there's so many wonderful pieces of music from hokum history that we thought we'd start there.
I think our favorites are always the one where we get to have fun with each other, but also have fun with the audience, because we're such a big, as you said, it's such a good, roaring good time. We have just as good a time as the audience. So anything where we get to connect with them and they're with us is the best.
Yes. Yeah, and you can tell, I mean, even watching it from the screen, you can tell like you guys are having a great time and great energy. Rusty, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay. The way that this whole band got started was writing its own song based on some of the writings of Michael Ian Black, which I'm sure Throat Cancer can tell you, because I came in after all of this fun stuff happened.
Yeah, we originally, I mean, we started off in a theater show that was based on a series of essays by the comedian Michael Ian Black, and he had one essay called "If I Were in a Jug Band, This Is What It Would Be Like," and it was all about his story of like growing up and wanting to learn how to play the washboard, and starting a band or getting into a band called the Salt Cracker Crazies, and then playing jug band music. And it was kind of it's funny, it's kind of like a send off though of jug band music. And we started out by writing a song based on one of his other monologues, and we put that into the show, and then we revived the show, and somebody said, okay, the one thing you have to do is add a second jug band song. So we did a second jug band song at the end, and then Tickle Britches saw that, and he's like, can I audition for your band? We're like, we're not a band, really. We're a bunch of actors, who play who play instruments that we don't really play. He's like, no, like, you got to let me audition. And so he started playing, and he's an encyclopedia of jug band knowledge that he dropped on us. And what started as kind of a jokey, fun thing ended up becoming, this kind of joy and kind of part anthropology and part refreshing, type of thing, we're trying to keep things fresh and new, but also paying tribute to this great music that's often forgotten or unknown, and that's where we get our joy right now.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm assuming in the podcast of Anthropology of Jug Band today, we can find that information, right, Mr. Tickle Bridges?
Yeah, I mean.
Thank you. Yeah. Let's move on from this conversation. Our friend John from YouTube is asking, and this is relevant though, because jug band music seems like lies in the middle of like the beginnings of jazz, and then it became sort of like 1930s, 40s sort of development during the Depression, and it kind of fell off the radar a little bit despite its long revival. However, so John is asking, are jug bands welcome at folk festivals, or do they set up their own tent on the side with the medicine, I guess?
Well, I'll start with the answer. I have seen plenty of jug bands at such folk festivals as the Brooklyn Folk Festival.
Did Frankie go out?
Uh-oh.
Or Britches, I should say.
Britches. He got.
This isn't the Anthropology Network.
No.
Exactly.
He's back.
Oh, there he is. Wait.
So was I not in there for a second?
Yeah, you got
Oh goodness. Okay, sorry. I just started to say that you will find jug bands in the main tent at certain festivals, and then there's other places that you won't see jug bands. They started as as Throat Cancer said, as a sort of a form of music for more impoverished people who were enamored with the music of the day, which typically was orchestral jazz. Mid-20s was orchestral jazz, but it was quite expensive to be able to buy a cornet or a standard bass. So people were resourceful, and they would make instruments. If they couldn't buy them, they would make them, and they by dint of the fact that they had great musicianship underlying their craftsmanship, that they were able to make amazing music. You know, as guitars became more affordable and, you know, as the working class elevated itself through its hard work, you know, it sort of fell by the wayside, but it's always been as a subgenre of folk and roots and Americana music at folk festivals. So there's always a smattering of jug bands. Right? There's 4 or 5 jug bands in New York City at any given moment. And yeah, we hate them all and we battle them to the death. And we're the best. And
As you should.
There's also there's a jug band festival at the Jalopy there's a midwinter, I think, jug band like Jubilee or something, and then there's something called the National Jug Band Jubilee that happens in Louisville every September, and then there's a thing called the Sutter Creek Jug Band Festival in California too. So like there are actually a couple of like straight up like jug band festivals, you know, outside of the standard folk festivals.
And the only reason we haven't been to those is because we can't find babysitters.
They can't handle the drive.
Those kids better start playing instruments soon, like seriously.
Working on it.
Don't think we haven't thought of that.
Or driving a van. But...
Yeah, exactly. All right, so this is all very fascinating, very interesting, but the audience has more serious questions, like the one from the Shakedown Dance Collective. They say, feel like these fans should have a signature whiskey drink. If you don't, what would it be?
I mean, we usually just take it straight from the bottle.
Yeah.
You know, just
like a bottle of like a pint of whiskey.
A handle.
It's like for each of us. I think that's kind of
true firewater. True, like burn the throat down.
If anybody knows any bartenders or bars that want to do a partnership, you know, we're happy to try out as many drinks as you want to throw our way. And we're perfectionists. We're not gonna sign off on it till we get it right.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Just
spread word to your friends that work at bars and stuff that Salt Cracker Crazies are ready for an endorsement.
An endorsement,
yeah. Indeed, we'll take it off the shelf.
We're endorsing one particular washboard and one particular wash tub. Those are the only 2 product endorsements we've got so far. So yes, absolutely more endorsement.
Yeah,
more whiskey.
Amen
whiskey
to that.
sponsorship.
I'm a big fan of the Van Brunt brewery or distillery down in Red Hook. So if anybody can hook us up there, their American whiskey is very good. Van Brunt Stillhouse.
All right, audience, you heard it. So, you know, you'll be doing a great service to this group of people, these family men and women who, you know, are working hard to bring us all joy and happiness in these trying times. So we're going to start wrapping up our conversation. It's been really a true pleasure, such great music. Tell the audience, how do we find you? How do are you on social media? Do you have a website? How can they learn more about you?
Yeah, we're at saltcrackercrazies.com, and Instagram is at saltcrackercrazies, and the guitars and homemade stuff is through a thing called 5 Points Instruments, and so I've got my own Instagram that's at CBG in NYC, and I think we're all kind of individually on Instagram too. So, you know, we can through the Salt Cracker Crazies page, you can totally find everybody.
All right, you all heard it. So thank you so much. Remember, every Tuesday in July and August, we're back for Live at the Gantries online. And next week, we have the Brooklyn Raga Massive. So come back, stay tuned. We're also going to have a Q&A. Thank you for joining us, Salt Cracker.
Thank you so much.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Gantries.
Thank you.
And thanks
everybody.
radio listening audience.
Thank you guys. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.